I would like to introduce Dr. Helen Clifford here, who has our wonderful museum in Grinton, and it's a magic little place, and you can't leave Grinton without you visit it. She's an amazing lady, and she's here to just put you in the picture of this place here and how it all started. Is that right? Yes. Yes, come on then.
I can even do this one. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you very much, Heather and her team. We all love Heather here. We would do anything for Heather, and I'm sure you would too. So thank you so much for inviting, and also to participate in your fantastic rag rug extravaganza. People going around the beach. Wow, it's so exciting! Wonderful to have so many people from all over the world here. Heather and her team just asked me to talk very briefly, and I will make it very brief because you've had a lot of information. But because I'm at the museum, and I'm actually doing the Fabric of the Dale textile handling sessions, which will be great fun, the theme that Heather sort of came up with, which I thought was really wonderful for the session, this whole extravaganza, was back to your roots. I know you've all got your roots, but I thought you might like to just have a very, very brief introduction to what the roots are here, and to help you perhaps think about inspiration for your own work and projects that might emerge from your stay. And we hope that our landscape will survive in your thoughts and in your work. So I'm going to take you through history very, very rapidly, and it's not going to be boring, so don't worry. We're going to pass into all these guys at the back with rearing to go. Some of you might know, just wait for a second, she's wonderful, she does everything, Leslie. In the UK, there was a fantastic series on the radio, and it was called History of the World in 100 Objects. I don't know whether it's reached anywhere else, but it was the director of the British Museum, who's absolutely fab, and he used the collections to tell the story of humankind from beginning to present times through objects in the British Museum. Well, I'm going to do that with objects from the Swaledale Museum. I'm going to take you on 300 million years of history very quickly. Okay, so first of all, Heather was mentioning how inspirational the stone walls were to her, and I thought we should go back to when those the stone was actually made. So I've got here a wonderful bit of sandstone, and it's got sort of marks on it, and that's a fossil. It's a fossil in sandstone, and it's a furnace. But first of all, sandstone laid down 300 million years ago. So that's where we sort of begin, because this is the sandstone that builds the walls, that builds the churches, that builds the houses that you're going to see and you're going to be in. So think of 300 million years ago, fossils being laid down. If you've gone out, it's a bit wet and grey at the moment, it will change the weather, I promise you. But if you've gone out at the time that these fossils were laid down, it will be a hot swamp out there. So that makes you think the sort of the story in the stones. So we've got 300 million years of history in the stonework and the sandstone. But what's very important for here that makes it very special, but also connects it to other parts of the world is the next one. Fantastic, thank you. It's very, very heavy. The story of the Dale is about lead. It's called galena. And as the sandstone, all the different layers of stone were laid down, there were 30, and in the faults, those vertical faults, hot saline solutions were pushed up, crystallised out, and lots of metals resulted. So when you look at the landscape, it's all about lead. It's incredibly heavy, in fact very good for weightlifting. It's shiny, it's grey. The roof here has got lead. Lead was very important. It was a really cheap but very, very necessary for piping. And that's why the Romans came to Swaledale, because they wanted the mineral wealth. So when you look at some of the landscape, think about sandstone, think about the galena, which is the lead sulfide, which is why this place became such an important place. You might think we're an isolated rural community. Oh no, because Romans were coming from Italy to exploit that mineral wealth. So lead is very important. And also one has to remember that you might think that this is a beautiful, picturesque, rural landscape. Think about it from 1600s onwards into the period where you're going to visit when you go to Beamish, the Victorian period. You hear people talking about Swaledale, they go, don't bother coming to Swaledale. It's a disgusting industrial landscape. In fact, it was probably the first industrial landscape, lead being smelted, fumes belching out across the landscape. If you've got time to tour around, you'll see remains of lead mines. Because from the 1600s, lead mining is taking off. Population is going up, more people want more lead, it means that it's worth investing in those mines. So if you're walking around or driving around, look out for those mines. You can find out all about them in the museum as well, of course. So how do you get the lead? Well, you're using tools like this, really heavy tools, to go into those veins, turn the tools round. It's very hard work. Women will be working on the surface. You're not just at home making proddy roads. Oh no. You're on the surface smashing up the ore to feed the smelters. The men and the boys are down the mines using pretty primitive tools. It's a very, very hazardous existence because we're never sure how much lead there is in those veins. So you might hit the big time, or you might be days and days or months and months where you're just drilling through, cutting through, trying to get to that vein. So that means, of course, we're now moving forward incredibly rapidly in time, don't worry, because it's not enough to actually live by lead mining. Groups of men in syndicates, you're going to have to do other things to survive in this environment. So you're going to farm, you'll have, so when you look at the cottages, they've often got what we call a garth, where you would have sheep or you might have some cattle. And you would also knit, even men knitted. And Swaledale sheep, you'll see lots of Swaledale sheep, and there's bits of wool. And the Swaledale sheep are actually rather special. I bought some, it's very coarse, harsh yarn that was used to knit. These are very sexy, into wonderful socks and caps, and they're quite itchy, and you would knit using a knitting stick, which is quite northern. You have it under your arm, or you'd have it in your belt, and they're made for children, for women, and for men, and they would knit on the way to the mine, and they would knit on the way back to the mine, knitting to sell the goods to actually eke out a little bit of extra for their lives. So knitting sticks, Swaledale sheep, bred down from Highland sheep, they're very tough, they can withstand the tough weather that we get. So that's very important, mining, farming and knitting. And it's quite interesting actually, I don't know whether Vicky's still here. She's still here, excellent, because actually we're in a Church of England establishment. But because it was so isolated up here, and the men were a bit, they were a bit rough around the edges, they're much more polite today. They were very independent, they set up in syndicates on their own, and they weren't very happy with hierarchies. They didn't have a boss, as it were, they organised their own sort of living, really. And therefore, they weren't really very interested in the established church. Because actually they were very what we call non-conformist, and there was a very special chap called Philip Lord Wharton, who was a non-conformist in the 17th century, he was lord of the manor, had mineral rights, and he supported independence in the day. So not just Quakers, but also burgeoning Methodism. And it was Philip Lord Wharton, of course, as a mineral lord, he owned the land, he owned the minerals underneath the land. And he set up, he sponsored a chapel up at Low Row. And some of you may have a Wharton Bible. You have to, anyone got a Wharton Bible? Oh, well done, Catherine Guy. You have to recite as a child by heart some psalms chosen by Philip Lord Wharton, and he would give you a Bible. And so he was very important in Reeth, because at that time, 1695, he decides to offer a market in Reeth, which is why the green is the way it is before it was facing the river. Population is growing, non-conformists taken up. Syria are battling in there, and now they're running out, I think. We've got this wonderful, wonderful church. So that might give you a flavour of what was happening here. So it all looks pretty rosy in a way, doesn't it? Hard living, very hard living. But then something happens, and what we've got next is not yet this one. So here's a population graph. We don't need slides. So we can see here population growing, growing, growing. Absolutely amazing going up here in the mid-19th century. More lead required, industrial revolution happening, more lead required, more mining, wealthier. But then suddenly the population falls. Suddenly lead mining ceases. Why do you think that is? If you've been to the museum already, you'll know. It's because, not because it runs out, but because cheap Spanish lead is imported, and it's cheaper to import it than it is to mine it. There's a massive exodus from the Dale. People walk from here to Liverpool, and that is a long way. They catch ships out to places like America. And there are whole areas of America, particularly in Iowa, Wisconsin, where there are a lot of Swaledale names like Calvert and Alderson and Metcalfe, because they're taking their lead mining skills, they're looking for other places to use those skills. They go to Spain, where the lead is coming from, they go to America, they go to Australia, they join in the gold rushes. So the story of this dome, although it is a long way away from everywhere, is deeply connected to the rest of the world, where people have gone from here literally all over to make those connections. And there is an object which is sort of sums that up. It doesn't look a very exciting object. You may have one at home. It's a cotton knitted blanket. It's actually knitted in little shells here. This came from a lady who lives up the Dale in Thwaite, and she said she'd taken this to a museum in York and they'd turn their nose up at it. They do, they're not interested, you know. But what's extraordinary about this is that we know when it was made. It was knitted in 1853 as a marriage gift. Wow. But what was even more extraordinary is that we started a knitting group. In fact, Christine is at the back and she still runs the craft group. And in the early days I thought, well, I should show them historic objects. I'll show them this wonderful bedspread, which is enormous and very heavy. It's actually made of cotton. And Florence Pratt, the Pratt name was well known here, she had a look at it and she said, "I've knitted that," she said. "I've knitted that." And I said, "Well, not this one, but the same pattern." She said, "But what's even more peculiar," she says, "is I bought the pattern at Cape Spear in Newfoundland." So I'm saying, wow, this is an amazing story, because the Pratt family left this country, there was no livelihood, population crashes, they go out to Newfoundland, and they take the memory of those patterns with them. So that's an extraordinary story. So that's, and you're going to hear more extraordinary stories if you're booked up for the museum fabric. Yes. Oh, fantastic! Even better. So connections. And just for the last little couple of moments, I just want to say, population crashes. There are descriptions of Swaledale with deserted cottages because the population has fallen. And what happens in the 1890s when that crash happens? Within about 10 to 20 years, even 10 years, the area has in fact transformed itself. There are no longer any smelt mills belching out poisonous lead fumes. What you have is a beautiful landscape, and people start to visit. So we get extraordinary connections being made. We get artists and we get authors who visit, and one of my favourite ones, and apologies to all of you who've heard this story before, but we were collecting guidebooks to the area to show how it changed from being a place where you certainly wouldn't want to visit to one where you would want to visit, books like this. And they mentioned that, well, everybody knows about Swaledale. This is around about the early 1900s, because everyone has read the novels of May Sinclair and Beatrice Harraden and Miss Ashby. And I thought, I'm a university-read person and I don't know who May Sinclair was. And I was intrigued by this woman, and here she is, with her beady eyes looking at you. May Sinclair was more famous in her time than Virginia Woolf. She was friends with T.S. Eliot. She went bicycling with H.G. Wells. She was an associate of W.B. Yeats. She even had dinner with Mark Twain, and she was famous in America. In fact, Mark Twain Twain says it was the most, he had dinner with her, he said it was the most interesting silence he'd ever had. But Lucy Clare sets 2 of her novels in Reeth and Swaledale. She stays for 3 months a year from the early 1900s to the 1910s. And I just want to read out to you a couple of, just a paragraph, because I think this visitor from the south, who was one of the first to really identify why Swaledale is special, why its stone walls are so wonderful, and the power of this landscape, which I hope that you will experience. So in her autobiography, which is a novel, and I really highly recommend it to you, called Mary Olivier, and Mary Olivier, it's an autobiography of her staying in Reeth, experiencing, in fact, all her books are about how women, don't forget it's the 1910s, can only become intellectually independent if they forego marriage. Marriage is a trap. So you have difficult choices to be made. But Mary Olivier arrives in Reeth, which she calls Morph, and this is how she describes the landscape. Stone walls, wild country, caught in the net of the stone walls. Stone walls following the plains of the land, running straight along the valleys, switchbacking up and down the slopes, humped up grey spines of the green mounds. Stone walls piled loosely with brute skill of earth built centuries ago. They bulged, they toppled, yet they stood firm, rising the wild countrywide country in their mesh, knitting the grey villages to the grey farms, and the farms to the grey buyers. But the hill world never had the same face for 5 minutes. Its very form changes as the roads turn. The swing of your stride put in play, a vast, mysterious scene shifting that disturbed the sky. Moving through it, you stood still in the heart of an immense being moved. Standing still, you were moved. You were drawn nearer and nearer to its enclosing heart. So here's a woman from the south who is deeply moved by its landscape. She's a very pioneering writer, as you might expect from the sound of it, an early psychological writer. And from those books, the novels that appeared, written by writers who were entranced by this landscape, came more guidebooks and perhaps some of the most famous books of the Dale, written by 2 ladies, Ella Pontefract and Mary Hartley, published in 1934, this is going to be my last quotation, came to Swaledale from Leeds, were inspired by this landscape. And this is their first book, written, as I said, in 1934. And I just want to leave you with their words, which have inspired generations of people to become very deeply attached to the area. People like Heather, who came here from elsewhere, we came from the south, from Oxford, came here, entranced by it, bound up with it, fascinated by it. And here is Mary Hartley and Joan Ingleby, Swaledale, 1934. Swaledale in Yorkshire is a little country in itself. Once there, shut in by barriers of hills, you are satisfied, shrouded in its mystery. The rest of the world seems unimportant and unreal. You get this feeling in all the Yorkshire Dales, but it is strongest in Swaledale, exaggerated perhaps by its remoteness, cut off by the hills, which are not single peaks, but unbroken ranges. The road which curves and twists up Swaledale dwindles into a mountain pass, which was a few years ago a rough track, but now alas is a tarred road. So the 20th century is catching up with it. I hope you will enjoy the countryside here. It will inspire you. I know Heather inspires me. As I say, we love her dearly. Her inspiration from stone walls, I hope you will be inspired too. And please do visit us in the museum. We'd love to see you. Thank you very much.